just a nightmare as Protoss to manage this. These lurkers are in. A heap of lings are coming in to kill this base. We've got a lot of lurkers that need to burrow. They need to burrow. Oh dear, this is a lot of spines. Ow! Ow! Run! Alright, hey there everybody, and welcome back to another Starcraft BroodWar Ladder cast. My name is Rabbit-Roo, and today we have a B Rank Zerg versus Protoss. Our Zerg hero's name is Umashika, aka Melody, and her opponent today is a random Protoss on the ladder. This is a B rank on Largo, and I am actually very excited to see this level of play and looking forward to bringing you some action today. Alright, so what sort of start are we going to get from our players here? Looks like we have an overpool opening from our Zerg and a gateway expand from our Protoss. So we could expect some early aggression here, very likely. Usually the second pylon comes down on about 12 to open up the opportunity to send either 1, 2, or 3 zealots before we expect a nexus to go down. Hit that like button if you enjoy Brood War casting. I'm here twice a week with all varieties of ladder action from F rank right up to A rank, as well as bringing some foreign tournament action to the fore. And if you're kind enough to subscribe, then I will return the favor by sending you and your family some zealot legs. So enjoy those. Anyway, back to the action. So we've gone for a 1 zealot nexus with second on the way and third incoming. So I think our Protoss will be able to hold this without too much action. I think Melody is just going to sort of jostle for position here, pick on this gateway a little bit. This is a forge to complete the wall. I think he's got enough zealots here, but with decent enough micro, he's not going to let any through. Although now he's under a bit of pressure because this is 6 lings against 2 zealots. Uh-oh, they're going to get in here. Yep, here they go. Alright, we're going to zoom out further so we can try and see both areas. Alright, so in they come. Obviously the idea is to try and get some probes here. They've got one. Alright, now the important thing is to see, are they sending more? No. Alright, not involving the probes in the fight. Interestingly, trying to just keep his mining going. Pretty well held, only 1 ling left. Interesting to see what the after the follow-up is. Alright, so we're already on 3 hatches, third taken quite far away from the first 2, which tends to indicate a lair build. But we don't see a lair as of yet. So let's see how Melody progresses. Protoss still hasn't started his gas, but now after absorbing that initial pressure and taking a few hits on workers, he seems to be sending out his zealots to potentially scout a third hatch. The pathing looked like they were interested in going here, but now it just looks like they're headed directly for the natural. Melody's got a lot of lings here though, no sunkens or anything, so it's going to require a bit of decent micro because 4 zealots will easily crush 8 lings. So let's see what the response is. I would have hoped to see a sunken or a little bit of a wall in or something to hold this, but at this stage our Zerg player is looking quite vulnerable. Here comes the lair as expected, but this early pressure is going to be a problem. Alright, so targeting the hatch with 2 and bringing around. This seems to be a tactic to stall and buy time for enough lings to come, but this is too many zealots, man. They're gonna do some serious damage here. Alright, so targeting down this hatch, I think as a Protoss player, when you're sending zealots early against Zerg, your main goal is to try and kill a hatchery, because it really does reduce Zerg's production capacity massively, and give you an opportunity to take quite a large lead. So all the Zerglings are gone, and we still have 5 relatively healthy zealots, and they are going to, I expect now, target down this hatchery to really profit from this early pressure. Good micro though from Melody to pick off the 2 lower health zealots. No reinforcing zealots are coming, so what I expect happening behind this is a Stargate, which we can see in the production tab, as well as the Citadel of Adun. So some Corsairs are going to be incoming very soon and Melody is going to have nothing resembling any kind of anti-air, so her overlords are going to be in danger. So really trying hard to get this hatch. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. Melody has done very well to keep this hatch protected and to pick at these zealots little bit by little bit. So that is a fantastic hold to keep the hatch. Down comes the Spire as a anticipation of the anti-air. So nothing really here, just a handful of drones. So what we've seen in terms of the Zerg is what the Zerg is. Our Protoss behind this is looking to consolidate the pressure by taking a very quick third. We have 2 cannons, a second gas coming up, and our second Corsairs come out because I can hear the first one shooting. There it is. Alright. So he's putting, now as expected, pressure on Zerg by picking off Overlords. I think the Spire is still a long way from done. There's no Hydralisk Den in sight. So there's absolutely no anti-air on the map. The Zerglings are not going to do anything with the wall being where it is. Our Zerg is floating a little bit of money, which tells me when the Spire pops, some Mulists are going to pop soon after. The challenge though will just be to not get too badly supply blocked in between those 2 points in time. So we've got 1, 2, where are the rest of our Overlords? 3, 4, oh, they all seem to have been grouped together. There's only one up here. All the others are in line of sight of the Corsairs already, and so this is going to be a very vicious supply block. The Spire's up, but she can't build anything, and that is a challenge. A couple of Scourge could come through just before the supply block happened. That's going to help fend off these Corsairs potentially, but now I think the Corsairs are going to pull back, having already... oh no, okay, so it didn't pull back. Good job there. So how many Corsairs are still out on the map? Let's see, there's one here heading home. Still hasn't taken the space, but just preparing to do so. No +1 ground attacks happening yet. This cannon I think is an anti-air anticipating Mulus harassment, as is this one and this one. We've teched quite nicely. We've got 2 Gate Templar tech with Stargate. Interestingly, having scouted the build and having seen the Spire, no, and the Scourge, no more Corsair production. Stopping with Corsairs and transitioning now into Templars and Speed Zealots. So I don't know if that's the safest move. I think if Zerg were to snap build 6 or 7 Mutalisks, they could potentially get some harassment done. I mean, this is only 2 cannons. This is only 1 cannon. Okay, there is a Corsair here. But I think the idea is to protect with Archons, which, I mean, to be fair, are very strong counter against Mutas. So here comes a DT that has snuck onto the map, but there is an Overlord. Wow, Overlord sight range is insane. Where was this Overlord seeing that DT? Must have been. That's quite something. That's even without the upgrade. Okay, so where are we in this game? We're even on workers. I think Protoss is probably ahead, although not having taken this 3rd base yet, and there not being any robo at this stage, I think still gives Zerg a shout if they want to progress now into a Hydra transition, which is what it's looking like is going to happen. We can see the Hydralisk Den is there. We're going up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hatch production. Soon I imagine to be 6 hatch. So I think Zerg, because of the early pressure, is behind on its tech, so you don't have to worry about lurkers yet if you're Protoss. And so potentially I think this is a timing window that the Protoss is trying to capitalize in on. This is a very good SimCity though. You've only got 1 sunken, but it is so hard to get to that it is going to have endless number of shots that it can set off against those ground armies. So he's decided to pull back. I don't know if he scouted this yet, but now we'll know that the answer is definitely yes. So Protoss has been looking for this base. I wonder if that'll trigger a reaction to go and attack that base. I don't think so. I do think though that it gave him the confidence to take his 3rd, because it didn't look like Zerg had any intentions of moving out onto the map. Okay, so Zerg's consolidating some forces, moving some Hydras up here. I think She has a lot of faith in the power of this wall and it not being very appetizing to attack into the natural, and therefore her only real risk, or which she's vulnerable, although this has been quite nicely fortified as well, would be her third. And then the plan, obviously, because she's invested in the third, is to take the fourth. So now we're up to 6 hatches. And Zerg's now going to go put a little bit of pressure on the Protoss side. So let's see what they can get done. A couple of Dragoons coming out here. These Templars have Storm. The ultimate equalizer against Hydras. That was a total whiff. I think he expected the Hydras to potentially move back there, but it didn't happen. But this is not enough. So just Zealots with speed and +1 attack, which I don't know if they actually have. No, they don't have +1 attack, and it's not being researched. You would expect at this level that +1, particularly for a ground-based strategy, would already have been done. But surprisingly, it's not done. Part of the Protoss strategy against Zerg is usually very heavily dependent on upgrades. So that is admittedly very surprising to see. Usually at this stage of the game, Protoss would already have +1 armor and be working on +2 ground attacks. So yeah, not the normal way, but that does obviously come with a trade-off. I think obviously because of the lack of upgrades, Protoss has got more units on the field and is trying to exploit that advantage for the time being. Alright, so it looks like a Hydra build. I don't see any lurkers yet, although here come the first 2. It'll be interesting to see if the idea is to use lurkers in a defensive posture initially. I think that would be my expectation. I have not seen... I just want to keep an eye on this fight, although I think Zerg would pull back. I've not seen a robotics facility yet. Here it is. And where's the observatory? There. Okay, so Hobbs on the field. If not with this army, they will be shortly. And Dragoons have got range. I presume, because he has them out on the field. So what you'll see now with Protoss is pushing in with ranged Dragoons in the front, protecting the Templars behind to storm the Hydralisks, and then the observers will obviously be critical to see and fend off the lurkers that will be fortifying the position. So it looks like we're building up to a big fight here at the natural. There's no other tricks happening concurrently. There's no drops in either opponent's base at this stage. It seems to just be that the effort is being concentrated here. We've still got a 3 basing, I beg your pardon, about to be a 4 basing Protoss, taking on a 5 basing Zerg. Interestingly though, looks like Zerg is going to counter attack and try and break this base. Let's see how Protoss reacts here. So we'll have a look at how this fight progresses. Chewing through these cannons pretty quickly. Oh, that's a good storm. I think that's going to end that. I think these cannons are going to be enough to hold on. He is moving his army across. As we can see on the minimap here, there's a swarm of red coming this way. So if there are any reinforcements coming, it's not going to matter much because the bulk of the Protoss army has come through and cut this off. So that's going to be the end of that. But I thought that was a good counter attack. I think it takes the focus and the initial threat on the natural away, giving Zerg more time to build lurkers, and giving Zerg some time now that they're not on the front door to move the lurkers forward and to make the position a little bit less choked up from a defensive position or perspective. Alright, so here we see the obs. Carrying 2 with the army is good. Keeping this together is good. You see the difference in the skills is when these kinds of attacks happen. You'll see how the Dragoons are always positioned in front, the Zealots behind, and then the High Templars are tucked in between so that they cannot be sniped. And so that gives the Protoss the opportunity to take fights and ensure that they'll get the number of storms that the High Templar have in energy off in the fight. So these Templars are going a bit too far forward. They should be tucked slightly, but there's a very, very good storms. He's managing to get them off. As I said, for the most part, the Zealots are in front. The Dragoons are firing on the Sunken, although they're not quite forward enough to do that. But their goal of the Dragoons would just to pick away the wall, because the Zealots will just get chowed, especially by lurkers, etc. So this fight's going well, although there are reinforcements coming from the top, and we could see a very strong flank here. Alright, so one lurker's burrowed in. Another one. Where are the obs? So the obs are moving back. Oh, she stormed the lurkers there. That was very good, but there's 3 more here. Good storm on the lurkers again. but this has been an excellent trade for Zerg. Protoss was way ahead, I think about 40 supply ahead, and now they have reduced that substantially, but the threat is not gone. So here come Lings, very good against Dragoons. There's basically only Dragoons left here and 2 Templars that have no energy. So I think Zerg's going to clean this up, but this is one hell of a fight. Yeah, these Zerglings are in. They don't have Adrenal yet, because we do have a Hive, but Adrenal doesn't seem to have been researched. I think that's going to happen very soon. But that is a brilliant hold. If we look at the status of the game now, Zerg is miles ahead. If they're equal on workers and equal on supply, Protoss is in big trouble. The positive side for Protoss, although I think considering the number of bases is probably a little bit light on probe count, is that he does have 4 bases running. Zerg, however, is on 1, 2, 3, 4 bases. I think soon to be 5. But what's interesting is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hatch production, soon to be 9. The Protoss is floating money, which it really, at this critical stage of the game, after taking a huge fight like that, cannot afford to be. I don't think the gateway count is nearly enough. He should have been on 8 gateway production a long time ago. And so his ability to reinforce after a huge fight like that where he took big casualties is just not there. So the income is there, and he has increased his probe count. Interestingly, maybe he's listening to me, I don't know. But the production facilities or capacity is not there yet. Now we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gate, 10 if you count this one. I think now 10 gateway production fits. And I think after a few rounds of production, I think Protoss will be caught up again in terms of spending its money. Oh, there we go. Happens as I say it. Bit of a gas deficit, but I'm sure building a few Templars and other gas-heavy units will sort that out as well. Meanwhile, on Zerg time, we're still on 4 bases. That's probably my only concern. I think throwing down a hatchery here, considering the reinforcements that could come from the top and the bottom, would maybe be a better bet than throwing one down here. This, once Protoss gets into the choke, could be difficult to defend. But she's doing the hatchery there anyway. So let's see how Protoss responds and when the next big fight is. And if it's going to be here in the natural again, because we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lurkers. And a lot of Hydras over here. And I expect a big army that's going to come from the top down and flank this. So I don't think Protoss is going to win this fight. I think the reinforcing units from the top is going to be the difference maker. He's not getting forward onto these lurkers, and he's only got zealots here, and zealots just get chowed by lurkers. So Melody has now flown into the lead, and I think we'll use this as an opportunity to entrench this position. And therefore sit with a control of the entire right side of the map. Because if she secures this, then this base becomes a piece of cake, and I think soon she'll start moving into these areas if required. So we got some Lings over here keeping an eye on Protoss, because I think the only danger for her is to, if Protoss continues to expand even further, which is what's happening at this base. The Protoss is now going up to 5 bases. This has been a very good macro PvZ, which I very much enjoy and always love watching and enjoying. So we've got another base coming up here, which is what I expected would happen. And the army to hold this expansion is being placed here, which is a much better place for Protoss to take a fight against Zerg anyway. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to gear up for a big fight, and the big fight will probably be over the Protoss's newest source of income. I think Melody, fully understanding that she's ahead in the game, is now setting up multiple new sources of income herself, whilst concurrently gearing up for a big attack here to take on this base, which now her Zergling has just confirmed the existence of by dying over there. Alright, so here we go. We're getting defilers into the game. We're sending in a few Zerglings. I think if she times this well, the plan is to Dark Swarm the cannons and send in the Adrenal Lings. Let's see if I'm right. There we go. Alright, and then they go. And are they getting any damage done? Yes, but here comes the Protoss army. Oh, and there's a Templar here, and he's stormed that very brilliantly. Is it a tactic to get Protoss to move its army into a choke position, possibly. But I think it was also just to signal intent, which is that Zerg is going to be after this base. Alright, here's another big fight. All the fights in this match, interestingly enough, have happened right here in the natural. There's not been a single fight that's happened anywhere else. I don't see on the minimap anything coming down from the top, which is concerning me. Although there's so much supply here, where is it? Is it just these horde of lurkers, which is going to be extremely hard to break? He's hit these units with a plague, which is excellent. Now they are going to be very vulnerable, and they're all already gone, the ones that were plagued. But here, oh, the army's down here, but she's not showing her strength yet. I think she's waiting to see if Protoss is going to commit, because if they do, there's no way down. Here it comes. Here it comes. All right, so I was expecting it. Here comes the flank on the remaining units. Targeting down those high Templars will be good. Moving these lurkers forward will be good. I think this is a good move, because Protoss has been taking so many fights around here. Spreading these lurkers a little bit more maybe would be the way to go. But knowing that this is the most critical base in the game, I think Melody is going to keep picking on this with Speedlings, with Adrenal, as much as what she can with Darkswarm support, and test the ability of the Protoss to keep reinforcing with adequate units, because Zerg is about to max, which means they've got a lot of units up here. A lot of it is lurkers though. There's not like as much mobile army as maybe what you would ideally want to have. But honestly, I don't think it's going to matter for much longer. I think Zerg has got this. So many workers, 10 workers ahead, more mining bases, better map control, and a very clear understanding of where the most critical position for Protoss to be defending is going to be. The Protoss cannot move north. If the Protoss army moves north to entrench or protect an expansion up here, or attacks, then Zerg just comes down here and kills this base. So Protoss is stuck. And this is the worst nightmare of a Protoss player, is when a Zerg has got this type of map control. Because now you are so limited in terms of your choices. Even just this position, being so far away from this base now, is risky. So I think Protoss needs another base, and that's what this is all about. But if Zerg discovers this, I mean, Zerg has a hatchery here, so they're going to discover it very, very soon. It's going to be a big problem. So more things have gone in here, chipped away at the cannons, chipped away at the defense, and this is what he's waiting for. She's waiting for him to move the army in, and he's going to send the lurkers in now. Oh, pulled away. Nicely done. But this is a very, very good idea, because now these units have to come through in single file and run into these lurkers, which is going to be a very bad exchange, to say the least. Alright, so Zerg now bringing some lurkers around to create a flank on these units. Where's... Ah, okay. Now putting pressure on this base. Interesting. I think now the idea is to just drag the Protoss army up and down. It's just a nightmare as Protoss to manage this. These lurkers are in. A heap of lings are coming in to kill this base. I don't think these Templars are going to have much more energy, although there are 3 of them, and it does make a huge difference to have them. But I think these lings are going to pick these Templars off. It's a good hold. It's a good hold. But Zerg has got so many hatcheries, a lot of money. They're potentially missing a few rounds of macro. But a huge... I don't know why Protoss just killed his own pylon. I think when you're under pressure, you click, and sometimes you misclick. It's funny to see that it even happens at this level. Alright, well, we've got a lot of lurkers that need to burrow. They need to burrow. Oh dear, this is a lot of spines. Ow! Ow! Run! Oh, and the High Templars get picked off. Although that was a really clumped stack of lurkers, so it worked out quite nicely for Zerg that they were clumped, but it just doesn't matter. It is just endless Zerg. More coming from the top, more coming from the bottom. Everywhere there's a hatchery is sending Zerg in here, and this base is going to get wrecked. I don't know how valuable this base is, although this has now been spotted and it's going to get killed, and that's important because that was the next valuable base target after this one. So this is going to get wrecked, and that's going to be the end of that. Behind this we still have more hatcheries coming up, More bases coming up and very good saturation. Protoss is down to 38 probes, and so this game is just a formality now. It's just how much pain Protoss wants to endure through the process of getting wrecked. Okay, so this base is gone. More lurkers than anybody's ever seen. I'm going to probably unburrow now, and I guess head off this way to take this base down. I mean, this is the only oxygen that this Protoss has left, and it's very limited. So she is sending some forces from her natural across here, and is saying, you know what, stuff it, I'm not going to go for that base, I'm just going to kill your army. And I'm going to send my army from both sides, I'm going to flank you, and you're just going to get wrecked. This is just so much Zerg, and there's just not enough storms to hold this much swarm. This is the power of Zerg, getting enough scale, enough mass to be able to reproduce at a rate that Protoss just cannot keep up with. So another Nexus dies. These lurkers have now entrenched themselves at the front door of the natural of the Protoss. Now the Protoss can't even get out of their base because there's only one area of production, which is here. So now it's just a matter of time. This base has still been left alone to some extent, but I think that will be either the next target, or Melody may just decide, you know what, stuff it, I'll just kill all the production. So let's see. Here we go. Alright, so she chose the former to go after this base. This base is literally all that this Protoss has got going for him. And his Zerglings are getting in, picking up some cannons. Still holding firm for now. But this is now blocking off any units from coming across to help. So it's inevitable that this will just get taken out. Alright, so some more probes being wrecked. The sad sound of dying probes can be heard. 16, 15 versus 71. Rip, Mr. Protoss. Rip, rip, rip. Now here the army comes across. He did manage to clean out the handful of units that were there. But having moved his army in here now, they could potentially get surrounded or get stuck. It really doesn't matter anymore. In fact, I'm surprised that this Protoss hasn't GG'd already. He's got 9 probes. He doesn't stand a hope in hell of fighting back from this position. Maybe just a bit stubborn, wanting to force the Zerg to beat him. Which she is, I'm sure, very kindly going to oblige and do so. Alright, so here's another big fight. I think potentially one of the last in this match. Plaguing the Dragoons should mean that they evaporate pretty far. Even plaguing the Observers. I mean, that's just... That's Ghostu style, man. That's really good stuff. Alright, so just heaps and heaps of whites streaming across the map. That's the end of that. Brilliant game, Melody. Really, really, really enjoyed that. An absolute cracker. A wonderful example of how to play Zerg versus Protoss. If you guys enjoyed the cast, tune in again twice a week. I'm Rabbit Roo. I'll see you next time.